Russell Westbrook with the Denver Nuggets. Is he going to be a help to the Nuggets? Is he a weight? We've seen both from him this season. Early on, he was phenomenal next to Nikola Jokić. A huge value add. They went on a big run when he was in the starting lineup. Then he gets hurt, comes back from injury, and it's been a little bit more shaky since then. So the question now is, what version of Russ and what is his impact going to be on the Denver Nuggets from here and going forward? I'm Adam Mares. I'm joined by Brendan Vogt of the DNVR Nuggets podcast. This is in many ways, Vogt, the central question for the Nuggets because there's a lot of knowns on the Nuggets about what they're capable of with the core guys that have been here. Russ is at his best a super Bruce Brown who helped them win a championship and was really hit his peak in the playoffs. Bruce Brown it is. Russell Westbrook, man, in the middle portion of the season, and when I say middle portion, 2 months, we were so excited about what he was bringing. He was playing some of the best basketball he's played in the last 5 years. He was incredible. So how do you sort of articulate the moment in time we're at? And just to give you a number, since coming back from injury, him and Jokić on the court together, minus 2.9 net rating.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, the context you laid out, I think sort of helps me find my bottom line on this conversation, which is this has been a good signing.
Yeah.
To this point, this has been exactly more really than what you would have hoped to get out of a minimum contract. The conversation is now suddenly more specific, and it's about what's changed since Westbrook was last a big part of what they were doing. And what's changed is the way teams are guarding Denver.
Yeah.
And the way teams are guarding Jokić. That's one change. And so what you're seeing right now is Westbrook being dared to take a lot of shots, seeing a lot of space. And so the reintegration of Westbrook has seemed a little less seamless than it once was in terms of just run pick and rolls with Jokić, give each other the ball, everything's gravy.
So the other change is the defense part of this is one that's really the Jokić rules, no longer guarding Christian Brown or Russ out on the perimeter, just sandwich Jokić. That's part of it. I think another part of it was Russ's peak of the regular season to this point came when Jamal Murray was out.
Right.
And he's playing with the starting lineup. He's playing not just with Jokić, but with all of the best players. Michael Porter was on a heater. Like, there were things going on. What was most encouraging to me was the end of that hot streak for Russ was when Jamal Murray came back. And Murray, it was almost like they had it was a short window, maybe 5 or 6 games, where I felt like Russ take over, Murray take over. They were happening in perfect concert. It wasn't an either or. It was just kind of he's got it going. I'm going to be a spacer. Oh, I'll be a cutter in Russ's case, and vice versa. And I think that is what you have to hope for. Like, he goes out of the lineup, he comes back in a different role, different things. And I think that's kind of what I'm thinking about with Russ right now is I'm encouraged because I know what the best version looks like. The team evolved in his absence in a couple meaning ways. Murray really got it going. And now it's about, can they find that again, but in a different context? And I think they can. I think it's going to be ugly, especially playing these tough teams. Like, there's going to be ups and downs to it. But we saw a consistently positive Russell Westbrook there for like a full month. And that's what gives me hope and honestly confidence in it.
Well, the last game against the Kings is a good example. To start the game, they were defending Denver in this manner. It was daring Russ to hit some shots that he wasn't hitting.
Yeah.
Now, by the end of the night, Russ hit some shots from the corner, which is a big part of this. They are okay with him taking those shots. I also thought he got back after some of the things that have made him so successful, right? Rim pressure. I just kind of thought not necessarily settling and accepting everything the defense gives him. There's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance between we like a wide open corner three and actually you're allowed to drive here, right? And so I thought it was we saw both sides of it all in one game of Westbrook able to fight through it, but then also just this very fair conversation to have about the geometry of the court.
Right.
Aaron Gordon wasn't in those games. So that's part of it too. We had Westbrook. They had Westbrook in the starting lineup alongside Christian.
Right.
So
and with Michael Porter at the 4, which is more spacing.
So it wasn't exactly a perfect snapshot of how this will shake out. Do you expect that this is going to be all good or all bad in the postseason, or is it going to be a mixed bag?
I think it'll for sure be a mixed bag. It's the inevitability of Russ is that his tough moments, he can miss 5 threes in a row. He can have 3 turnovers in a row. It's just throughout his career, even as an MVP season, that was a trait of his, and you kind of just have to live with it. But I think I've always said turnovers, they come more when a team is not connected than anything. They more to me demonstrate, everyone will say it's sloppy play sometimes. Oftentimes it's the team is not reading things properly. And this is where I come back to, What made Russ so exciting at his peak was he fed Jokic like no one has ever fed Jokic, including Jamal Murray. He just found him. Last night, he said, if I have 15 turnovers trying to get the ball to Jokic, I'm going to pass it to him again because he's the best player on the planet. Why wouldn't I try to get him the ball? I think finding the context for him to be able to play that way is the key for Denver. And I actually think it's an easier playoff question than regular season question. What do I mean by that? The playoffs, you can play guys 40 minutes a night. You might have a 7-man rotation or even a 6-man rotation that has 2 other guys that play like 6 minutes,
right,
but it's really 6 guys playing all the minutes and then you just buy time here. I think it's easy out of your top 6 guys to build lineups that feature Russell Westbrook that make sense. It's just hard to do that in a 48-minute regular season rotation.
Right. And yeah, so look, if there's a lineup where, not that we saw this last night, but if it's Westbrook and Gordon and Christian Brown or Peyton Watt, if it's 3 guys, it's going to get tough. Really, really, really tough. When you shrink the rotation, can you be a little bit more creative about what spots he's in and using Porter particularly to help him out? But also some of this, man, is there's just going to be the team has decided the right play at this stretch in the game is he's open.
Yeah.
And can Russ hit the shots? Some nights he will.
So to me, like you want Russ to play with Jokic and you want Russ to play with at least 2 shooters. I think playing Michael Porter at the 4 as much as you can is a smart one. You're probably playing with AG sometimes, but Michael Porter and Jamal Murray on the court at the same time Russ is on the court. In the regular season, again, you can't do it. In the playoffs, you can't do it every minute, but I do think you can get a majority of them that way. But then you have to ask yourself, well, what is it like when Murray is not on the court? One, in the playoffs, I think Michael Porter needs to be on the court. Then if Russ is there, Michael Porter needs to be on the court. And then number 2, who is your next best shooter? Is it Zeke Naji? Is that part of why Zeke Naji is so important? Is it's like, all right, Murray's out, Zeke is in, because we need Mike and Zeke spacing in the corners to open things up for that. Is it Jalen Pickett? Is it so crazy to think that whether you think he's one of the top 8 or 9 guys, it's like it doesn't matter. We just need Murray to rest for 5 minutes a game in the playoffs when Russ is on the court. And when we do that, Pickett is the guy we count to hit a catch and shoot 3. So Pickett and MPJ are how you flank it. I think this is why I'm so into the idea of playing those guys, is because you just want a sample size that says in a playoffs, Russ plays 30 minutes a night, 20 of those are with Murray, or 22 of those are with Murray, 8 of them are not. So what is the combo?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it has to be one of Zeke or Pickett, or maybe even both.
And maybe it would have been Julian Strother, or at least they were trying to use him that way. I think at this point, man, that ship may have sailed. So I
just think the defense is too rough there. And again, like the 3-point shooting Julian provides you, can Pickett provide you 90% of that?
Right.
Can he provide you 120% of that? Maybe.
No, the difference was, like, at least in the regular season, teams at least seem to be like, we should probably guard Julian Strother.
Yeah.
Now, I don't necessarily know if they should be guarding him more tightly than like a Jalen Pickett, but that's how they. But again, in the postseason, I still think whether that's Julian or Pickett or Zeke, you're going, yeah, we're making that guy hit the shot. So that's part of it. That's part of it. Pickett could sneak into a few minutes here.
Yeah. So I just think it's an interesting question, but I have confidence. Like when we came into the season, if we go to the narrative, that's the X's and O's or just kind of analyzing the game. But if we go to the narrative part of it, everybody, I'll give Westbrook fans this. Everybody is always trying to, told you so.
Yeah.
And we saw this in October, November. Russ is playing great, and we're like, man, this is fun. Just wait till January. You'll see we'll change your tune. January rolled around, playing even better. February, playing even better. He gets hurt and goes out. He comes back and has a couple games. The Jokic rolls come in, and he misses some shots. And it's like everybody was waiting, just waiting to say, I told you so. Statistically, it's still been a very positive value add. But from a narrative standpoint, there is nothing better than us getting to the playoffs and all of these a-holes just waiting and licking their chops to say, I told you so, while Russ drains threes that knock their team out of the playoffs.
There is something, too, on the nights when he does have it. That
it's like, yeah.
They hit real good.
They hit real good.
And his little...
Yeah.
That's such an aggressive celebration, by the way.
It's
like it hurts so much every time. Yeah, I mean, there are little things, too. Like, not everything is just be a shooter and can you hit the shot. I mean, will you use Russ as a screener more? Are there more pick and rolls with the ball in Russ's hands? Of course, they did just switch that and then fronted Jokic at the nail last night. But, it's not all just stand in the corner and shoot. But also, at some point, that's going to be part of this. Yeah. And there will be a big shot that could swing a game. And if Russ hits it, we know what those crowd pops will be like in Ball Arena.
A couple weeks back, I shared a stat about how the Nuggets are the most efficient offense in the NBA by a mile when they're in the bonus. This is another thing that Russ hasn't yet provided to the Nuggets since he's come back to his return, but it's an underrated part. You get into a playoff series, Denver's in the bonus 6 minutes into a quarter. Russ is a big contributor to that. Guess what? Denver's winning the rest of the quarter.
Yep.
And so I think there are things that he has not unlocked since his return that I am still optimistic. Everybody simplifies today's game, man. Everybody's online. Everybody thinks they're JJ Redick, right? Everybody thinks they're some basketball genius. And so they're like, oh, you know what the problem is? He doesn't shoot the three. That is a part of it. But there's more to basketball than that, man. And that's what I hope. Our brightest timeline for the Nuggets is they win a championship this year as an efficient but not high volume 3-point team. And everybody that says you have to be that has to eat crow. And everybody says that Russ eliminates your ability to be that has to eat crow as well. Because guess what? Denver's just great at all the other aspects of basketball.
Yeah, and then you can really, are still big ifs, but the feel good part too would be, can we bury this notion of solving Jokić too? You know? Your solve was to put 5 guys on him.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that the Nuggets are going to find the rhythm that they had for a majority of the season with Russ, where he's a value add? Or do you think that this new defense is like, well, in the playoffs, you just do that and there's no solve? Let us know in the comments what you think, how confident you are. And, of course, throw us a like button and a subscribe. We'll see you later.